What's up, guys? Figured I'd do a quick Wednesday night update and give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of what I've been working on this evening. I haven't got as far as I wanted to over the last couple days because I've been in Lake Chelan with my wife and her family for the end of summer shenanigans before school starts. But we did get home earlier this evening and I popped upstairs to do some recording, and that's what you guys are looking at right now. This is a multi-track in Adobe Audition, and these are actually choppers lines. Each one of these rows up here, if you're following the cursor, each one of these rows is a line in Chopper script. So these are all of the different lines for episode 14. Each one of these rows has different iterations or different attempts that I had at each line. And then what I do is I listen to it and I try to find my favorite, and then I put a marker here. So you see that little marker here, little marker here, little marker there. I do that so that I can find these later when I want to go back and do the processing and editing, and that's what we're going to be doing right now. The way Adobe works, the way Adobe Audition works, is when you record a multi-track, it records WAV files and then puts them out externally and pulls these in as instances. And so I don't want to be destructive to the raw file. So any editing I do here, I want to do in another file. That's the way I like to do it. That way I still have that raw file if I need to get back to it. So what I do is I find my marker where this is and I double click, and that brings up the waveform for it. And what I'm going to do is hit Command A to copy it, and then Command C, or Command A to select all, and Command C to copy it. And now what I'm going to do is come over here and hit File, New, and a new audio file. Now I'm going to call this holding pattern because really the name doesn't matter. I'm not going to save this file. This is a temporary file. I call it holding pattern because, it's kind of like an airport, like just lining up the airplanes and landing them. And then we're going to check the settings here. Sample rate 44,100. It's in stereo, and the bit depth is 16. This is what you want for Adobe Animate. I'm going to hit OK, and now you just see this kind of black screen with some red lines and some green lines, and you're probably thinking, what the hell is that? And a lot of the times I'm thinking that myself, but we're going to go ahead and hit paste. In that thing that we just copied earlier, here's Chopper's first line. Now really quickly, this little bit over here, that line, I know what that is. That's me going... breathing in, doing what I need to get ready. But I don't really need that right now, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Now, let's get started. First, what I want to do is remove background noise. Now, I don't have a professional studio or anything. I have as much noise reduction as I can. I put a blanket behind me. I have a carpet below. I try to keep the doors and windows shut. But even then, I still have some background noise. And what you can do as you do this really cool thing, you do a run-in, let about a second or so run before you actually start doing the recording. That's what I've done. We're going to select that little run-in right here. Now that it's selected, you're going to hit Shift P, and you saw that little flash really quick, right? That's taking that little bit, and it's going to sample it, and it's going to go, yo, I got you. I'm going to help reduce this for you. So now what we do is we hit Command A to hit Select All, and now that everything's selected, we're going to hit Shift Command P. Now that brings up this dialog box. It says here, it's in effect, it's the noise reduction. And you can see a bunch of weird little colors and some settings here. Basically what it's doing is it's taking that sample that we hit earlier, that Shift P, and it's saying, I'm going to find these noises and I will try to reduce them. Noise reduction at 50%, 16 dB, that's pretty good for me. You can mess with this if you want, but you got to be careful. It can distort it. If the background noise is too loud, it could also create a distortion, or if you do this too many times. So you want to be a little bit careful. So we're going to go ahead and hit apply. And now I'm going to listen to it. And I'm going to start here at the beginning and no noise. Sounds good. Okay, it sounds pretty good. The noise has been reduced. But what I like to do before I get started completely is go through these little blank areas, like right here, select it, and then listen. Yeah, and so it might have been my chair clunking around or something ever so slightly. So now I can turn that down. I go up to here, this little thing right here where it says dBs, and I'm going to turn it down. That's like turning the volume down. It's really, really simple. And so now when you hear it, nothing, right? Sounds good. I'm going to do that same thing here. Same thing. So let's just go ahead and do that here. We're going to do that. Yep, we're going to do that there. We're going to do that here as well. Yeah, just ever so slightly. What's this one here? No, that one's fine. That's actually supposed to be, that's an F sound. Okay, so now what we're going to do is get rid of the run out because I don't need that bit, and I don't need the run-in anymore. It served its purpose of noise reduction earlier, so now I'm ready. This thing's ready to go. We're going to do some normalizing and processing, but that is a multi-step process. And what I'm thinking is I might do a how-to later on how I create these favorites of all the different steps to do this. But since that might take a while, and this is just supposed to be an update, I'm going to go ahead and just use my favorite. This is Chopper. So I go up here to the favorites menu, and you can probably see a few of these. These are already done, presets already done by Adobe Audition. But if you keep going down here, you'll see something called Normalize Chopper. Well, that's this Chopper, and this is a preset that I created, and I'm going to go ahead and select it. And you'll probably saw that flash and some things changing. Well, that went in and took all those steps that I did that take quite a bit of time, and did it just like that. It's really cool. Let's go ahead and listen to it and see how it sounds. Yeah. Okay, that sounds really good. There's only one thing. Sometimes I come in and I need to do some tweaks and some little adjustments here. I don't really have to here except for one thing. Right over here, the thing that I've just selected, he's actually being kind of loud, and it did a normalization to -3, and it can be louder than that. But because of that, it also made the rest of it a little bit too quiet. Not a lot, but a little bit. So what I want to do is just basically take the whole thing and increase the dBs. I could select just this and do the opposite of what I did before, instead of turning it down, turning up, but I want the whole thing. So either deselect or select all. Deselect is basically essentially select all in this instance. I'm going to go back up here, and instead of turning it down, I'm going to turn it up, and we're going to watch this guy right here. When that thing gets up to -1, I think that's where we want it. So we're going to go ahead and turn it up. And you're watching, if you watch the little that line, we'll get to, it got to that green line, that's -1. I think that's going to sound pretty good, but maybe just a little bit scotch, because if you look at the top, it's not even quite to -3. Let's get there. I think, let's go down just a little bit. Okay, I think this is going to sound pretty good. Let's go ahead and listen to it and see if we like it. And I think that's it. So now that we've got it all normalized, processed, and we got it the right volume that we want and everything, it's time to basically just export it and call it good. So we're going to go File. We're going to come down to this option, Export, and then Export File. Now, really quickly, remember, we called this holding pattern. That's not going to be the name of this file. This is just a temporary file. I'm going to go ahead and hit Browse, because I want to make sure that it goes into the right directory. But before we do that, I want to make sure it says Wave 44100 and 16-bit. So we're going to go ahead and hit Browse, and then make sure it's in the right file folder. So it is. We're in 0114, so episode 14, Chopper and Finals. I'm going to give it a name, and I usually like to name it something like Chopper Spy Cat _0114 _Chopper, and then _01. So that's episode 14. It's Chopper, and I know it's his first line, and it's in Finals. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Save and hit OK, and bingo, we are done with that. So let's go ahead and hit multi-track and go back. Now what I'm going to end up doing is doing that to all the different lines. Seems like it might take a lot of work. I'm not going to say it's not a lot of work, but because of those favorites and those presets, I can whip through this pretty quick. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. I'm going to go through the rest of these, maybe do another character or two, and start getting ready to animate. For those of you following along and have stuck through this video this long, I appreciate it, and thank you very much. And those of you who are new and you're like, what is this? Well, I am working on a cartoon, a little sci-fi cartoon called Chopper Intergalactic Spy Cat, and right now we're just doing updates and progress as I march towards finalizing this series, and doing a little bit of behind the scenes and maybe even some how-tos. So hey, hit subscribe so you can follow along, and again, you guys, thanks for watching, and let's talk soon.